This video is going to be a film study look at the Lions' defensive domination. They really swarmed Dak Prescott and the Cowboys on Sunday. 4 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 10 passes defense, 3 interceptions, forced 5 turnovers. The numbers are ridiculous. The film actually looks better. Like somehow, despite the gaudy production that the defense put up and the paltry offensive production that the Cowboys had, 251 total yards, I think 198 passing, 53 on the ground, 3.9 yards per play. Despite all those stats and how impressive they are for Detroit's defense, the film looks even more impressive because there's so many guys making plays. They're just relentless. There's so many guys getting after the football. Not a Cowboys offensive line, to my knowledge, that was that porous in pass pro to allow 11 quarterback hits. Of course, when you're one-dimensional, that probably increases the number of pass rush opportunities. One of the things we talked about in the offseason, picking up DJ Reader, was you were going to speed up the process or the timing, by which teams were going to become one-dimensional. The Cowboys are one-dimensional by definition already. That's a bad matchup against the Detroit Lions, if you ask me. Of course, the loss of Aiden Hutchinson is a big story. Not necessarily going to go into that here. I just really want to get into the film. I think I've got 22 plays queued up here to kind of illustrate how many guys had an impact. I will do this each week, probably on my Patreon, to be honest with you, from a full-length video like this one. Generally, on YouTube, it'll just be player-centric stuff. It's a great play by Jack Campbell, tracking the running back all the way down to the other side of the field. He did have a defensive pass interference call, and I think so did Alex Anzalone, but those guys play really well. Dowdell is trying to sell this like it's pass pro. You can see Campbell is looking directly at him. He picks up on it. Whatever he sees there, whatever he saw in film, to kind of give it away, stays with it. Dowdell is unable to get to the outside. Anzalone's kind of there to force it. Campbell makes a tackle for a gain of 2. This is first possession. Still first possession. This will be the penalty on Anzalone. They matched him up against the tight end to the boundary a lot. So they're asking a lot of Alex Anzalone, because if he's able to do this consistently, meaning cover the tight end into the boundary, then you can stay in a too high look and make more changes post-snap. You can be a little bit more unpredictable. It basically is an out-and-in route by the tight end, and Anzalone's going to grab his hips somewhere in this area. Unfortunately, it's an interception by Joseph. Ball's a little high anyway, probably, but it's a pretty obvious call if you ask me. Incomplete pass on the same possession. First 2 possessions, Dallas is able to get down there, obviously. They got a field goal and then an interception in the end zone. I thought Carlton Davis' third played quite well. 2 really savvy veteran plays in this game, and I'll talk about one of them as we get going through the video. I don't know what if the perception is changing, because I know that him and Terrion Arnold both had so many penalties early in the season. I feel like maybe he's cleaned some of that up. Maybe he's found ways to be a little bit more physical. Maybe Aaron Glenn's being more multiple with the coverage styles and not being so heavily reliant on man. Moving to the second possession. This will be Jack Campbell's penalty. Unique look here. They've walked him up outside the tight end, and they also have Pascal head up or slightly inside on the tight end, so almost a little bit of a bear technique. You got a Mike linebacker, and then a Will linebacker is over to the opposite side, over top of the second tight end out of 12 personnel. It's a sack by Hutchinson. Campbell's holding in the middle of the field. I feel like he doesn't need to make this much of an effort to – he's looking around, actually, to see if anyone's going to call it. He doesn't make this much of an effort to hold the guy. Like, here, let go, stay with him. It's clearly man, so you're going to stay with him. I feel like he's a little less comfortable in that setting and that technique because he's not asked to do it that often. Normally, it's Anzalone that's asked to play man, like I talked about a couple of plays ago. Second possession, this beautiful interception by Branch where he basically plays 2 routes, stays on top of the flat route such that if Dak Prescott throws it here, he's going to be able to react downhill, make the play. And look, Dak's making a quick decision. The ball's probably not thrown exactly where he'd like it to be, but I think he's trying to get it there on a line. I think Dak Prescott recognizes there is someone in play, but like I talked about in my Brian Branch video that I put out yesterday, he just covers so much ground. When he does put his foot in the ground to come downhill, or when he does break on the ball, he just covers so much ground. He reminds me of the guys on defense in the NBA where you think they're out of the play, you've isolated them, and remove them from the equation in your brain, and they come with a blindside block from the opposite side of the court. He's just a very unique player, turned in an incredible performance on Sunday in Dallas. An example of what DJ Reader provides, in this case, he actually ends up being up on one leg. It's a 2nd and 9. I think this is third possession for Dallas. Reader is right here. So I don't think they're expecting run because they've got, you can see Rodriguez is in the game. They sub him in and out sometimes along with Jalen Reeves-Maybin for Jack Campbell. But watch the double team, and usually Reader is able to anticipate this and get both feet in the ground, but particularly the outside foot, such that he can anchor with the inside foot, and the outside foot allows him to turn, get his cleats in the ground, and then redirect. He ends up balancing on one leg while an NFL lineman is trying to down block him, and then is able to reset his feet and re-engage. That is exactly what you saw if you watched film of him with the Cincinnati Bengals. One of the reasons why I was so excited for Lions fans and for that team to be able to grab him in free agency, even though at the time he wasn't healthy, wasn't able to play in week 1. I think we're still third possession, excuse me. Going to be a first down over the middle to Turpin against Robertson. I thought Robertson played quite well in this game. There was a couple of longer passes. Terrion Arnold also allowed a long pass. But I want to talk about this one because Josh Paschal seemed to play with a ton of force. 2 run stops. I think I show you both of them in this video. He's lined up over here off the left tackle. He's obviously going to get a lot more reps now with Hutchinson being out. I just felt like he was extremely powerful and decisive. In this case, it's a bull rush. He's just basically driving the left tackle back into Dak Prescott's lap. Doesn't go down as a statistical designation, quarterback hit, hurry, or certainly not a sack or anything like that. But when he was involved in plays, he just was absolutely decisive. I think I got my play order mixed up here, to be honest with you. The Branch interception should have been after this play. My apologies. But this is an illustration of what I was talking about. They're trying to fold this on this zone scheme at him. So the tight end releases inside to get up to the front side inside linebacker. And instead of having the tight end step to Paschal, the tight end's going to release to the inside to go get Anzalone, and they're going to step the tackle out to Paschal. It's not necessarily a down kick scheme. They're just folding it on a zone run, and Paschal collapses the edge completely, tackles Ezekiel Elliott for a 1-yard loss. Like I said, I believe the next play is the interception by Branch, so I mixed up my order there, but you get the point. Paschal's playing with a lot of force. He's violent. He was violent as hell in this game, and when he was on his tracks, whatever showed up in his tracks, he was going to engage and try to destroy. This is now the third possession. A really brilliant play here by Alex Anzalone from an awareness standpoint. I think you get both angles of this one. It's a play action out of 12 personnel. Paschal, oh, by the way, is the guy chasing Dak Prescott. Anzalone ends up running behind or underneath of the tight end Ferguson, who I feel like is a pretty talented football player. He didn't really get a ton of things done against the Lions. Well, really, nobody did for Dallas. So Paschal is assigned with jamming the tight end, and then he's going to rush. Anzalone is manned up on the tight end. So once it looks like run, for a moment there, Anzalone's got to read Ferguson, but he's also got to react if it's a run play. It makes sense. He's put in some conflict. And now Ferguson's running across the field like a climb concept. They're essentially trying to hide him from the opposite side of the field. Yes, the ball does actually get near his hands. Theoretically, he can make a play on it. I feel like Anzalone deserves some credit for staying underneath of this route and forcing the attempted completion into being a low percentage play. Again, just note the violence that Paschal is playing with, the commitment to whatever he's being asked to do. He looks like a guy who really wants to be out on the field. And at this point, with Aiden Hutchinson out, obviously he's going to have an opportunity to get more snaps. Still third possession. Incomplete pass over the middle. There's a blown coverage down here at the bottom side of the screen. by the Lions. Alex Anzalone is playing man on the tight end again and happens to run into, I think this is probably intended for the receiver running across the field. Lions are showing man, obviously, with Terrion Arnold following Brooks. Anzalone lined up over the tight end. I think Brooks is going to run a route from the outside position across the field, and for whatever reason, the Lions are not on the same page with how to defend this. Arnold, maybe he got picked and he's just that far behind. I'm not sure, but it looks like he just switched onto that guy without any communication. As it stands, the ball actually hits Anzalone in the hands, guarding the tight end. So really fortunate for the Lions that the tight end was able to get in his route in that direction, such that Anzalone was in the window, nearly had an interception. So many times the Lions got their hands on footballs the other day, whether in the pass game or the run game. Fourth possession now. So Pascal and Jack Campbell involved in this one. I think the tackle, for some reason, is credited with Pascal because, well, actually, he's got first contact on the running back, Ezekiel Elliott, number one. Number two, Elliott does go down. I'll give you the end zone angle of this one in a moment. But to illustrate it here, Pascal's running down the line to take away the dive, and I'm not sure why Dak Prescott isn't keeping this. And then Campbell is scraping over the top. It's called a gap exchange for the quarterback. When you get the end zone angle, I'll explain it the other way you could get it accomplished, or you could try to. In this case, it's just great timing by Pascal, great explosion. He looked quicker to me on Sunday than some of the times I'd seen him in the last couple of years. He looked a lot faster. So you could play it like this on the running back crossing Prescott's face. You could have Pascal run to the mesh point such that you force a give read. You could have Pascal do what he actually does, which is run down the line of scrimmage, the heels of the offensive lineman, and tackle the running back, force a keep read. You could have him half man it, so kind of hesitate. I like Pascal playing like this. To me, this is what he should be doing. Clear, decisive tracks to play on, and whatever shows up there, knock the hell out of it. I wouldn't want Pascal hesitating and then trying to redirect. I don't think he's a tremendously agile player compared to some of the other guys that play defensive end across the NFL. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. So the gap exchange element, Pascal down the heels of the offensive line, Campbell scraping over the top. For quarterback, if Dak Prescott keeps it, just doesn't look like he's reading it at this point to me. Because if he was, then it should have been a keep read. Still fourth possession. Not sure if Carlton Davis III is credited with a pass defense here, but he's certainly in the window of CeeDee Lamb. The ball is possibly thrown a little bit earlier than maybe Lamb is looking for. I'm not sure. Something certainly doesn't look right with that situation between Lamb and Prescott, at least on Sunday. I thought Carlton Davis III was disruptive. I thought he was getting in the way, in some cases even perturbing the receivers for the Cowboys. He's very handsy. Tom Brady even covered it, that he's going to put hands on you. He's going to make you, as a referee, call it and try to disrupt the route concept. In that case, he did on the 2nd and 10. Fourth possession, very next play. And the first pick stunt that I saw in the game, and it just worked like a charm. And then the Lions kept running it. It's a Lee McNeill sack on a 3rd and 10. Like I said, fourth possession. McNeill is here. The pick is by Rodriguez. And then McNeill's going to fold into what basically is the A gap. Running back Lepke, 40, doesn't pick it up. Give you the end zone angle so you can see it as well. It's all man defense by the Lions on the back end. So here is Rodriguez. There is McNeill. Anzalone occupies the center. Rodriguez picks the guard. And then McNeill folds over the top. Clearly, you'd say, well, why doesn't the running back take him? In this case, he just doesn't. Clean window or path for McNeill to jump through. Great sack, ends up being a loss of 10 and another stop. I mean, the offense is rolling at this point. The defense was, once you got through the first two possessions, the defense was on another level. Just really dismantled Dallas's offense, pretty much everything that they tried to accomplish. We'll move forward here, fifth possession, and skipped a bunch of plays. This is a 3rd and 6. I believe this is a very savvy veteran play by Carlton Davis III. It's a 3rd and 6. I think they're playing a 4 under, 2 deep. And I think Carlton Davis is trying to make it look like it's not. Now, some would say, what, Coach, I think it's a 3 deep, 3 under. I would really not necessarily have a problem with that. I just think that this is your corner in the flats, a hash defender here, a hash defender here, and I think Carlton Davis III theoretically should be right here. But he's aware of the inherent weaknesses of the coverage based upon the down and distance and how many receivers he's got to his side of the field. So watch the routes from a stacked alignment here with a tight end and a receiver. I think it's Tolbert. What Carlton Davis III, in my opinion, is doing is trying to stay on top of this potential route by Ferguson, corner route. And then also simultaneously, when the ball is thrown, be able to make the tackle, make the play on the speed out. One of the reasons, again, why I kind of reject a target rate and things like that, because like, who do you apply this target to? It's a 3rd and 6. Carlton Davis III is actually letting the wide receiver catch the ball so that he can drive on it. You can see the ball has just been released from Dak Prescott's hands. Carlton Davis III already driving on it. Compare his alignment to Arnold's up there in terms of the depth. I just think Carlton Davis III is aware of what could happen on the play. Basically, this tight end running a corner route and then throwing it over the top of him outside the safety, Kirby Joseph. And instead, he decides to give up the shorter route, turn it into a 4th and 2. We're in the second quarter, and the Cowboys are going for it. Pretty unbelievable, if you ask me. Hutchinson gets a quarterback pressure here. Arnold, nice coverage up top on Turpin, who's looking for a flag. Kind of a slow China in, if you ask me, by Turpin up top. You'll get it a little bit here in a moment. Probably have a frame cutting you guys off. It's those two guys right there. Arnold's up top. Turpin takes his route to the outside, and you can see Arnold's already settled his feet, anticipating it coming back to the inside of the field. Dak Prescott has not let go of the football yet. Hutchinson is almost there. It's a 4th and 2, like I said. Great pass deflection, or pass defense, I should say, by Arnold. Gets a turnover. Really, at that point, the Cowboys were quite desperate going for it on a 4th and 2 from their own end. Moving forward here, this is late second quarter. There's 6 possession, 1:10 left. Another sack by McNeill, but this one is of a different variety. It's not a pick stunt, even though they did use that 3 or 4 times. He just basically overpowers the right guard. It's a quality right guard as well, but this is an embarrassing rep for him, and there was no tripping of the feet or anything like that. I think it was Brady who speculated, like, maybe he got feet caught up with somebody. I didn't see it. Just absolutely punched him and then able to drive him back into the quarterback's lap. I mean, at that point, you're up 27-3. Dallas, I think, got a big kickoff return after your last touchdown, and then they get down here close enough, and the first play is McNeill with a huge sack. He's playing incredibly well, him and DJ Reader as a pairing, and there Onwuzurike as well. It's a damn shame that so many guys are injured at the defensive end position, Hutchinson, Davenport, and Barnes, because if all 3 of those guys are healthy, this is, I think, probably one of the best defensive lines across the entire NFL. Third quarter here. Incomplete to Turpin against Robertson, but I want to call attention to DJ Reader. This is Onwuzurike and DJ Reader. Reader's going to kind of take his first attempt or move in that direction, and then he's going to fold or slide this way. Watch the hit that he puts on Prescott. There's a level of physicality that Detroit's defensive line and linebackers brought that is not seen in every NFL game, to be honest with you. There's not often that level of physicality. I know the theory, or one of the things that's talked about, is the same play, end zone angle, by the way. There's Reader. One of the things that's talked about is a team's record the week after they play the Lions. How far do you have to get into the season and they all lose before you say, okay, it's a very real thing? I'm not sure. I mean, we're probably far enough into the season to say it's something to consider. That their style of play and how physical they are actually does have an impact on teams moving forward. Reader is going to be able to redirect. And look, he was not a great pass rush guy with the Bengals. He's got a sack already. I think he's got a couple other quarterback hits. Here he's able to dive and get at Prescott and avoid a penalty. Like I said, we are early third quarter. Not sure if I'm even going to be able to say his name right. Nowaski, 53, took Hutchinson's place, obviously, post-injury. It's a 2nd and 10 after that incomplete pass, and we get a sack by a guy who really was on no one's radar, but he's been playing well, to be honest with you. I think he played really well the week before the bye in a limited number of snaps, I think third, fourth quarter primarily. And here you've got him against the starting right tackle for the Cowboys, folding inside, getting Dak Prescott for a sack. Just relentless. It really kind of reminded me of what I've seen the Ravens and Steelers defenses do before. And what I think is amazing here is the score is 34-6 at this point, I believe. You've just had DJ Reader smack Dak Prescott and knock him down on an incomplete pass. Then Nowaski, 53, however you say his name, with a sack for a loss of 2. And Aaron Glenn hasn't had enough. You could tell that he was like going to dial it up and going to keep it turned up as long as they could. And here's what I mean by that. They were in the same pick stunt, and it worked again. Dak Prescott's kind of fading away. They just ran it to the other side. There's 54, McNeill. Rodriguez over there next to him. Rodriguez dives to pick the guard. The center goes with him briefly. And here comes McNeill. Free rush right up the middle. Prescott, at this point, like I said, 3rd and 12. He's fading back. He's getting rid of it. Low percent pass. It was a fun game to watch, obviously, until the Aiden Hutchinson injury. The film is still fun to watch because of how impressive they were. Some teams get better on defense right around this time of the year. Maybe Detroit's going to be one of them. Have to give Aaron Glenn credit. When that many guys play at a really high level, you have to attribute it to that side of the ball. In this case, the defense being ready to play, understanding their assignments, flying around. Did Dallas make it simpler or easier, perhaps, to get that accomplished because of how one-dimensional they are? Sure, I'll accept that. But still, it's the NFL. You go on the road to the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, and absolutely take them apart in front of their home crowd. It's an impressive performance. I think the defense will have to play well this week, obviously, to beat the Vikings, who are undefeated. I won't do this each week on YouTube. I just cannot. As I get to the Patreon stuff later in the week, usually Tuesday and Wednesday, I can record a more full-length defensive film study like this one. But I wanted to put this one out so Lions fans could check it out. And normally I'll have film study videos on individual players. Hopefully Tuesday night or maybe Wednesday morning, I'll have something out on Jack Campbell. Try to do Monday offense for both the Ravens and the Lions, and Tuesday morning has pretty much turned into a defensive day the last couple of weeks. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy this film study look at how Aaron Glenn's defense went in there and just absolutely dismantled the Cowboys offense, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.